Hey everybody, this is Rebecca, and welcome to my channel where each week I share a message of hope, faith, and empowerment to uplift and encourage you in your everyday life. I want to start by asking you to like and subscribe to my channel if this information is helpful. I extend my season's greetings first of all, and thank you for tuning in today. This week's message is about the necessity of self care, not about the luxury or the privilege of self care, but the necessity of self care. And in these trying times, personal care is something that needs to be emphasized. Now, in the past, when we would talk about self care, we would talk about it in terms of pampering ourselves, lavishing ourselves with spa treatments and luxurious vacations, lying on white sandy beaches. But this year in particular has altered how we define self care. And I've read a number of studies and reports about mental health and how it has directly impacted and attributed to the increase in anxiety and depression that has been brought on by this pandemic. It has caused an enormous amount of emotional and mental stress related to our personal health, the health of our family members, employment or unemployment. We've seen social unrest, police brutality, and not to mention this chaotic election in the United States. So there has been an exponential uptick in mental and emotional tension. And more people are confined to home, whether we're working or just social distancing. We're watching more TV, we're spending more time surfing the internet, just ingesting a lot of information or misinformation that we otherwise would have either ignored or just not even been exposed to in normal times. So, if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, you do not want to deny the reality of what you're feeling because you can't get help if you're not willing to acknowledge that you're not mentally healthy right now. You're not mentally stable right now. Let me share an interesting story with you. And if you're a football fan, I'm sure you know who Dak Prescott is. He is the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And I bring up Dak because football players are physically tough, and they have to be because they play football, which is a contact sport that is very physical and often brutal. As a matter of fact, Dak right now he's on the injury list because he did break a leg or a foot, I can't remember, earlier in the season. But in this interview earlier this year, I think it was before the season began, he sat down for this interview. And in this interview, Dak revealed that he struggled with depression. He admitted that some of it was brought on by the pandemic. It was tough for him to isolate, be forced to quarantine because he was used to being around a lot of people or other people. And to make matters worse, during this same time, Dak's own brother committed suicide, who obviously was struggling with his own mental challenges as the primary caregiver during their mother's final days, who actually died of colon cancer. Dak admitted that this also contributed to him falling into a state of depression. Underneath that tough veneer, Dak acknowledged that he's human just like you and I, with the same human emotions. But unlike a lot of other people, Dak did not suffer in silence. And that's what I want to get across. He confided in his family, his friends, and teammates. He also worked with one of the Cowboys' mental conditioning consultants. So he surrounded himself with a support system. He felt that as a leader of this team, he needed to be transparent. There was one sports pundit in particular who just went all in on Dak, saying that being America's team as a quarterback, he should not have divulged his vulnerabilities and that Dak needed to exude strength and toughness at this particular position, which Dak dismissed as insane, thankfully, and which he should have. Perhaps you've been mentally out of sorts during this pandemic. It can be mentally challenging not to be able to feed your family or to pay your bills, to lose a business that you worked so hard to build. And can you just imagine not being able to say goodbye to a loved one who died at a hospital all alone? And we watched George Floyd's life being snuffed out of him in real time by an evil cop with a knee on his neck. And to this very day, I cannot and have not watched that video because I know that that would be too mentally challenging for me. I don't have the mental tolerance to watch it. I know I can't. What self care measures do you take to protect or maintain your mental health during these times? The first thing you need to do, like Dak, is to acknowledge that you're struggling. You need to surround yourself with a support system, people in whom you can confide, and that includes therapy as much as you can afford it. The stigma of mental illness, thankfully, is being lifted. Don't be ashamed to admit that you're struggling. Another thing that you need to do is to set up what I call your personal no fly zone. And in aviation, a no fly zone is a territory that the military established where certain aircraft can't fly over. For example, commercial airlines like Delta, United, and Southwest, they're prohibited from flying over the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. They can't fly over Camp David, the president's retreat, and they can't fly over the nuclear plant in Texas. And certain naval bases they can't fly over, and there are certain presidents' homes or compounds that they can't fly over. You and I need to set up our very own no-fly zone or boundaries to protect our mental health. And what are some of these boundaries? First of all, you want to stay away from toxic people who leave you emotionally exhausted after an encounter, and you know who those people are. They're always bringing you bad news. They're defensive, they're manipulative, they are always the victim. They're jealous, they're abusive. Keep your distance from these types of people. And secondly, you want to be mindful of what you watch and what you read in the news, whether it's on TV or social media. There are all kinds of conspiracy theories and misinformation, propaganda, and just flat out lies that are circulating. You want to make sure that you're getting your news from a reliable source. Sometimes you need to just intentionally break away from all of it. Now, I know that we can't go into hibernation, but you should be able to balance out the noise with some positive reinforcement. I usually listen to sermons and sports commentaries while I'm exercising, and I recommend you spend time daily in taking in something positive and uplifting, like reading your Bible or listen to a podcast such as this. Start your day with confirmations of I can, I will, I do. It's very important that you start and end your day on an encouraging note. And the last thing I want to mention is to resist the temptation to neglect your body. During this pandemic, you can still exercise every day and eat healthy. And like a lot of people, I did stop going to the gym back in May, but I still walk 4 to 5 miles a day, and I do my strength training from home. Gyms are open again, and they have gone to great lengths to implement strict safety measures if you decide that you want to go back. But if you're not ready to go back to the gym, just walk in the park or the shopping mall with your mask on, of course, and take your vitamins to help boost or to maintain a strong immune system. That's very important. And prepare healthy meals at home if you're not ready to go back out to restaurants. And if you do venture out, just wear your mask and social distance according to the CDC guidelines. So there you have it. Self-care is a necessity, especially in the times that we live in right now. But we need to practice self-care as a way of life. At the end of the day, self-care is about love. It is about being good to yourself. For some people, I know that can be very challenging, but I'm not talking about being narcissistic or self-absorbed, but just giving yourself permission to be healthy, happy, and whole. In closing, I hope this message has been a blessing to you. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I look forward to sharing a new reason to hope. Until then, take care. Bye for now. Merry Christmas and a happy new 2021.